Yes, we are going to start this workshop. This is nothing but jerk to jump start. We are going to see how a scrape will give us a opportunity for a new business. This workshop will say you that how a businessman can get opportunity for new business. Also, when a person who has a vehicle will give his vehicle to a scrap unit, then he may get two types of benefit. First, he will get a scrappage value of the unit, scrappage value of the vehicle, and second, he will get a certificate from the unit. That by getting this, he may get again two types of benefit, one in registration and second in purchasing the vehicle. And for this, I am requesting our motivator, Mr. Nitin Chitkara. Please come on the desk. Mr. Kartick V. Nagpal, please come in on the desk. And to promote this session, I request Mr. Sourabh Agarwal. He is our regional director from Rajasthan. Kindly promote this session. Thank you. Mr. Agarwal, please.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for making it for the session. A warm welcome to everyone. I think a brief glimpse of policy has already been given to you. But I'll, just to set the context, the vehicle scrapping policy was introduced by Government of India with two intents. One is obviously to promote circular economy and reduce the import of scrap material in the country. And second is to modernize our fleet, the old heavy pollution making vehicles to be replaced by new Euro 6, Euro 7, Euro 8 vehicles, which will eventually come in. I think just to set the context, the policy has received a good response from even the private sector. Right now, there are 140 RVSF, private RVSF investments have been done across the country in various states. Over 100 are operational and few more will get operational in some time. Even OEMs have taken it very well. I think most of the OEMs have introduced, and we all run dealerships, so we know that they have introduced specific benefits for the customers apart from the other government benefits which they're getting on tax in this policy. So, and that's a brief on the policy. I'll just introduce my panelists once. So we have Mr. Nitin Chitkara here. He's from MMCM, Meta Material Circularity. Mr. Chitkara is a pioneer force in the creation of e-markets around circular economy principles. He's spearheading the first tech ecosystem for automotive circularity, ELV circularity passports, and ELV credits with over 20 years of diverse experience in spanning e-governance, G2B and B2B domains. So, and we have Kartick. He's from Rosmerta Group. Kartick is a stalwart in the auto industry. His company, Rosmerta, is the highest number plate manufacturing company in the country and second largest in the world. They have also set up an RVSF in the NCR region. So, I'll start with Kartick. Kartick, you have immense experience in the auto industry and you've also invested in an RVSF. So what is your view of an RVSF business, how it is shaping up and how it is going around?
Thank you, Sourabh. So basically, I think let's set the context globally what is happening. Globally, the RVSF, the vehicle recycling industry is quite mature. It's been matured over 15, 20 years, right? And so we can take examples from what is happening there, and that is what the government has done, number one. Number two, from a return standpoint, from a businessman standpoint, definitely you will always feel that the returns are slow, there are negative returns, and you have to invest in the business for a couple of years. That always happens with new policy initiatives where it requires a lot of customer mindset change that has to happen, right? But from a larger standpoint, from a policy standpoint, I am quite positive because you are seeing that the government, and Sourabh, you can also attest to this, that they're very receptive from introducing the policy, introducing incentives. Now finally the EPR policy has come in place. So, and whatever we as an organization also share with them the challenges, they're very receptive in terms of seeing what is going wrong and how to take corrective action. So I'm quite positive. Yes, definitely the returns are very slow and the progress has been slow as well. But I feel that in the long term it will be a very good business to be in.
So very rightly said. So even I operate an RVSF in Jaipur, and as you know, Kartick said, any new business, it takes a while for market to set up. The entire industry, as of now, is an unorganized sector and is moving towards organized. But one thing I must appreciate, government has been very helpful. Time and again, the interventions have been very high, and I think for last 6 months we've seen a very positive, work around this policy, especially the certificates, which we are able to generate from an RVSF, see a very good value because a lot of states are giving benefits from 10% to 25% to a customer on the road tax who's buying a new car. But just to continue with you on that, so if you talked about the RVSF business, and you know the auto retail business also very well because you've been associated with a lot of dealerships in your other businesses. So how do you see this benefiting auto retail per se as dealers?
So globally as well, all the policies that you see, whether it be America, you see Europe, you see China, the design of the scrapping program is what leads to the effectiveness of the increase in auto retail. And in India also, the incentives that have been given at the point of sale of a new vehicle. So definitely they are trying to kill two birds with one stone, and that is the way to go, that they want to recycle old vehicles and push new vehicles. That is why the incentive is at the time of purchase of a new vehicle. So that will definitely, increase auto retail. Shri Gadkari ji pegged it at 18-20% growth in the automotive retail thanks to scrapping. Let's hope that is true, and let's hope we can surpass that. But depending on this, the COD values that we are getting, I feel that definitely auto retail will definitely get a big push, because any incentive that the government is giving for recycling is being given at the purchase of a new vehicle. So naturally, the benefits are going to go into automotive retail.
So Nitin ji, I think you have been very instrumental in getting this policy executed on the ground because you've been working with the government, with the RVSFs, and I think to a large extent with the OEMs also getting everything done. So can you just give us some insights on these initiatives about this entire policy, or what is happening around?
Yeah, but I'll start where Kartick just left, that how OEMs and then this entire industry is taking benefit. In last 6 months, almost 12,000 vehicles has been sold by taking benefits of CDs, Certificate of Deposit. So total tax benefit of around 15 to 20 crores range of I'm talking about. And the vehicle value would be around 2,000 crores because the net road tax is around 10% and 25% is the benefit in most of the states. In 12 states, it's flat 25%. In some of the states, there is a cap, and now government is talking to make it same across country, but it would take some time. Second, this entire policy started around 2 years back. In 2021, it started actually. I'm really sorry for my throat. No worries. Yes, okay. So first year there were only 12-13 RVSFs and only 7,000 vehicles were scrapped. Second years there were around 30 odd RVSF and 20,000 vehicles got scrapped. Now in the last 1 year, if you see, there have been 70,000 vehicles which have been scrapped across India. So we see that there is a growth, right? And now slowly people are also started taking benefit while they're purchasing new vehicle, new cars. So we see that there is an adoption, though definitely the initial hiccups in every policy is there. But this is actually a required policy. And why it is a required policy, now you all know. In Delhi NCR, you have seen the pollution for last 3-4 months, right? Every day you see that your AQI index is 400 plus, right, for last 3 months. And most of this pollution is either from construction or from road transport, right? And we talk about road transport, all the old vehicles actually emit almost 10 times, and few old vehicles actually emit 100 times. And major contribution is from particulate matter 2.5, which is actually really hazardous for the health as well. So this policy actually is not helping all of us by reducing this polluting vehicle, but would also create opportunities for dealerships and auto OEMs by the way of incentivizing people for buying new vehicles. This is what I can say.
Kartick, as you know, most of our audience is auto dealers, and a lot of them will be also interested in understanding, as you're an investor, what it takes to set up a facility and how they should go about it if anybody is interested in investing in this business. So can you just throw some light on that?
Anybody who wants to invest in an RVSF business, firstly, they need to do it for the long term, because there are not going to be quick results that you're going to find, number one. Number two, you have to be ready with a space which is scalable, so that in the next 5-7 years, if the business does grow, you have scalable space. So that is number one thing, right? And the location of that space is also very crucial, because it cannot be too far away from the vehicle park that is there. Because inbound logistics is almost 30% of the cost. So if you are too far away from the vehicle cost, you will not be able to do it. So globally, the feedstock, the end-of-life vehicles that come to the plant, globally the average is 50-kilometer radius. In India, it is 200 kilometers right now because of low supply of end-of-life vehicles, right? So the location and the size of the plant is very crucial, and it has to be very well thought of. It ideally has to be a long-term project. It cannot be a short-term project. In terms of the machineries, I think everything is available now, and there are good suppliers out there. So machinery is not a problem. The technology for dismantling is also not a big deal, to be very frank with you. You know, it's majority is manual labor, etc., and so it's not big of a problem. Selling of scrap is also not a problem. The two major pain areas that are there for an RVSF business is A, actually getting the feedstock, end-of-life vehicles, and B is selling spare parts. Because the infrastructure around RVSFs is not ready yet, where you can have established refurbishers who will be able to sell those spare parts. So you can only make real money if you are actually able to sell spare parts in a good 20-30% of the volume that you're doing. But right now it is not there yet. So be ready for a long-term investment, and you should be happy that you're helping the environment and the country at large to do this. And on a long-term basis, definitely a very good business to be had, but definitely I would say start small so that you can actually not burn too much money up front. Understand the business, educate yourself to the nitty-gritties of the business, and then, as I said, you can scale.
So very rightly said by Kartick. So right now, obviously, business is in a transformation state and many challenges Kartick have stated well. I would just like to add that one more challenge which also exists while buying the feedstock, the ELVs, because as of now, this industry exists in unorganized sector. Now, the sector presently is not subject to taxation and compliances the way RVSFs are. And obviously, there is a cost difference, which also is a challenge which we're facing. But fortunately, MMCM, as an enabler in this segment, is doing a lot of initiatives to help RVSFs overcome these challenges. And I would ask Nitin ji to share some light on that.
Yeah, sure. So if we see circularity globally, there are three major pillars when we talk about circularity. One is traceability, because just cutting the vehicles and selling it off is true traceability. So we need to have a proper information base from where the vehicle is coming, how you are dismantling it, how much emissions you are creating, doing, and where your material is going, whether in the form of actually metal or in the form of components. So this traceability is a very important aspect. Second aspect is value creation. When you do traceability, definitely value would be created. One is, again, asset value, direct asset values. Second is intangible values. We know that emission savings definitely would be there, so you can take benefit of carbon credits. You can also take benefit of EPR credits. There are several other benefits what you can take on intangible value you are creating from the data sets. Third is value exchange. From where you will actually get this value validated, or from where you can actually get this value. Direct selling, or there would be certain exchanges in between. So we are working in all these three aspects, right? We are working with almost most of the RVSF in India and globally as well with few RVSF scrapping facilities. First and foremost, RVSF, it is very important for them to actually run an operational management system or ensure that their vehicle are coming from the in the right price, and their component is also going to the right price. So traceability, they can use our auto loop system. Second is DGLV, which most of the dealers now are using in India as well. Rajasthan, MP, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, UP. So almost, I believe, 10, 12 states dealers are using, and they are actually procuring CDs for their customers from that. And from the CDs, customers are actually getting benefit. So we have seen that in last 6 months, as I already mentioned, that almost 12,000 vehicles has been sold utilizing the CD, and the maximum benefit a consumer have got is around 4,50,000 rupees. So that's a large benefit, and because it is directly impacting dealers, so you can take benefit of that as well. Third piece, and when I'm talking about DGLV, it is not only the CD trade platform, it is also a further digital asset trade platform. We talk about upcoming EPR and also carbon credits going forward. So on the same exchange, RVSF can take benefit selling their digital assets. Third is, as I mentioned, is your value creation. So value creation we talk about, there was no carbon credit project per se for end-of-life vehicles or material circularity globally. So we have worked on that, and actually we have created a carbon credit project first time in globe, where benefit from circularity or scrapping vehicles, metal recovery can be taken in the form of carbon credit. So in fact, 2 of the RVSF who were part of our pilot project have already started taking benefit of it. So these are few initiatives we are working on as of now.
So that's great. So Kartick, I think as an RVSF operator, you must be working with a lot of auto dealers in terms of helping, working with them in procuring the ELVs. So do you have any specific, expectations or, suggestions for the auto dealers here in terms of, being their customer for buying these ELVs?
So I think the biggest ask for the auto dealerships would be to educate the customers. Because what generally happens is that the informal sector is very much alive and kicking, and they are able to offer higher rates than the RVSFs for natural reasons, because they are not following the norms, they are not paying any taxation, they are not doing any recycling in the eco-friendly manner. So in fact, they are going against the policy. They are there's a tax loss over there. There is a loss to the environment because they are letting the liquids go into the ground, etc. So that is why they are able to hire marginally higher. Now for that small amount, a dealer is also not able to convince the customer, or not trying to convince the customer, no, you should sell to an RVSF. But now that the COD policy has come out, now that the EPR policy has come out, it's high time that the dealerships start educating the customers about responsible recycling, number 1. Number 2, they need to ensure, what a dealer tries to do is that they try and their main target is to sell a vehicle, right? So they want to make bottom line. That's what they care about. So as much higher a price that they can get for the ELV, they try and shop it around to everybody, which is a market standard, right? But if they can have a genuine cost and actually understand if the scrap value is 30 to 33 rupees per kg, and you are expecting to sell at 44, 45 rupees, and why does it happen? Because the dealer is telling the customer, I will get you this much money for your scrap car. And then that will be adjusted to your price, etc. So the dealers really need to understand the importance of the dealership in the whole ELV recycling program. And number 1 is education, and number 2 is getting the vehicles to the RVSFs rather than driving them to the informal sector. So the informal sector also gets their vehicles from somewhere, and the dealerships are a big source for them also. So the dealerships actually need to take a call on not working with the informal sector.
So I think Kartick very rightly said, I run dealerships also, and I run a scrap plant also, and just by guiding the team in the right way, and one thing which Kartick also mentioned, I will say that these new initiatives of the government, which is COD value and the EPR value, as RVSs we are actually able to give a better commercial value also in net sense. But yes, our teams need to be trained, and they need to communicate the same to the customer. Nitinji, I would also like to add to Kartick, if you believe how auto dealers can support the initiative in any different way as per your expectations.
No, absolutely. So I believe auto dealers are actually the fundamental pillar of this policy, because if you see today in India, we see more than 50,000 two-wheelers dealership, or the point of sales are there. And customer first actually reach them, even if they want to buy a new vehicle or scrap his vehicle, he feels that this is the right point where I can find information. So they are actually there when a customer is ready to give his vehicle away. And he is also there when a customer wants to seek benefit of the CDs, of the discounts, which he is getting from the certificate of deposit if he is scrapping his vehicle. So you are fundamentally actually at the core of this policy, if you see. And now we have seen that many of the dealers have already started taking benefit of it. So we are also planning to give you a solution which would be a single point of benefit for the customer and for the consumer, for the dealership as well. While you are procuring vehicles from the customers, if it is a end-of-life vehicles, there only you can give the benefit of certificates. So by that way, you would be able to give him a price segregated with the scrap value as well as the benefit of CD. For RVSF, although it would be a win-win proposition because you can get a vehicle in a way lesser price of the scrap value, right? Maybe 20 rupees, 25 rupees. And customer can also take the CD benefit directly if required. So this is what we are trying to do. But yes, for sure, dealers actually are the forefront and the pillar of this particular policy. And then you need to definitely work in alignment with this policy. Very important for you.
That's great. So I think that's more or less from our side. I think we'll leave the house open if any of the audience has any question for any of the panelists.
Yes, the EPR policy is for all the OEMs that have been working for the past 20 odd years, whether it be two-wheeler, commercial, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, across the board.
And even the construction equipments like cranes and JCBs, it's applicable to all automobiles.
I just want to add a small point. You know, when we talk about vehicle park, that we are going to have 50 million ELVs by 2030, people need to realize that 80% of them are going to be two-wheelers. So recycling two-wheelers is going to be a big part of this policy.
What is the cost, minimum cost of the project?
Sir, it totally depends on what kind of machinery you want to put. If you want to put Indian machinery, you want to put Chinese machinery, you want to put Italian machinery, what kind of size and capacity of the plant you want to put, what baler you want to put, you want to have a triple action baler, you want to have a bigger baler, sharer, etc. So it's a very subjective question, but broadly from around 5 crores all the way up to 10, 12 crores, you can set up a plant, X land and building.
So, initially, I think Kartick's plant and my plant were very few first plants in the country, and at that point we had to import some machineries. But now most of the machines, in fact 100% machines are manufactured in India and are available in India. The cost has come down, but yes, again, how much you want to invest in terms of what capacity you want to create in a particular region, it can vary from 4 to 12 or 15 crores totally on that.
Yes, I know in a case in UP where you get especially just a two-wheeler license and a four-wheeler license. That is primarily because of the space of the plant also. So you can't have, say, a half an acre plant and you can get a license for four-wheelers because that is practically not possible. So over there you can only recycle two-wheelers. Definitely that is possible.
No, so I'll tell you a little bit on this. So there's a central policy by the central government which has given some guiding principles, basis which each state has released its own policy. Now this policy defines what is the minimum size of land required, what are the machineries required. Broadly it is same, but there are some basic variations. So it will actually depend on which state you are applying. In most of the states, again, it is not a right answer for every state. Single license is issued where they categorize how many cars, two-wheelers, construction equipments you can scrap in a particular month in terms of capacity basis जितना आपने plant लगाया area के हिसाब से machine के हिसाब से. Yeah.
So naturally, enforcement has been very slow in this because it is as a government, it's a very negative public sentiment to force the people to sell their vehicles. Number one. So what the policy generally states that they did not want to define an age of the vehicle. What they said is that the vehicles which are registered for 15 years, they will have to go through a test on the automatic testing stations. If they pass that test, fair enough, they're going to get they pay some green tax and they're going to have a 5-year registration extension. If they fail, they get another month to get a retest done, to whatever, make sure the spares or whatever maintenance they need to do that. If they fail that, then they have to mandatorily recycle it. But again, see, for two-wheelers, like you said, the enforcement is what it is needed, right? And this is the will of the government that has to happen. In Delhi, the only reason we are able to survive is because the Delhi police and the traffic police literally impound the vehicles if they see they're 10 or 15 years old. Otherwise, if you want to, go to any other state and set up an RVSA, it would be very, very tough without such policies to actually do that. So yes, like you said, compliance and enforcement are very important. And when you are setting up an RVSF, do see what your state is doing in terms of compliance and enforcement. So there's a carrot and stick policy. Yes, incentives are there. But if they're not enough and if the enforcement is not happening, then you are going to have low utilization.
You would like to put some view on this?
Yeah, I'll just say definitely it's a carrot and stick policy. But we are still lacking on basic infrastructure of vehicle testing in most of the states and most of the districts. If we cannot validate whether the vehicle is roadworthy or not, so it would be very difficult to impose enforcement. So maybe 2 years from here we'll see the better enforcement and better compliance of the policy.
So I think I'll agree, but I'll just add that, instead of Rajasthan, and I think it's across India, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of, news going around this, and there's some will from the government which, is actually expediting the process. It may be not similar everywhere because it's a state government's jurisdiction, so every state is acting a little differently, but it is gradually happening. So but while that is a necessary requirement for an RVSF to be successful, no doubt about it. Yes, sir. So, yeah,
Yeah, there are consultants actually available. So in fact, Ministry of Road Transport itself actually provide you the complete guidance on that. But I have heard that there are few private consultants also who can guide you how you can take your ROI in place.
So as Nitin said, Morth is there. You can contact them, and they will give you a complete manual to set up. Obviously, OEMs. I think some other OEMs. I'm not sure. I can't name them, but they're also getting into this business where you can work with them. And on top of it, there are private consultants also now who can help you. I think most of these equipment manufacturers are also doing that consulting. Some of the equipment manufacturers have also started private consulting in this area. Tool equipment manufacturers.
We find that there are so many people coming nearby only. So the viability issue in this matter comes into that picture as we have set up here, and immediately within 500 meters we have different ATS also. So now what happens that ATS will be lying idle till the government is not forcing. So what is the RVSF's condition? Because this is a bigger investment than ATS. This will involve 10 crores and the land also. Then if I have a one RVSF there, its viability should be government's thinking that person should have a viability after long term. Sir said that it's a long term project, but long term also it depends on how many RVSF will be in the same region itself. So does any policy matter is there that within 50, like petrol pump previously it was 50 meters, 500 meters you can't have next petrol pump. So is there any such policy in the government that we can have safety of our investments?
Currently, there's no such policy where they ring fence how many RVSFs are allowed in a district. Ideally, there should be, and you're right. As a business owner, you should know that your investment is safe. But right now, there is no such scope. Right now, what the government is doing is, because again, it's a, what do I say? If there are not enough RVSFs, the public is saying, where do we go to recycle our vehicle? But it's like a, chicken and egg story. So till there are enough RVSFs, the OEMs and the public will have to recycle and will have to comply with the EPR norms. So right now the government's focus is on increasing the number of RVSFs, and maybe whoever has a longer term approach, that is why I said please have a long term approach. Please start small so that you don't burn your money beforehand, and you are able to sustain yourself for the long term. So that is why longer term approach in this business will be successful. A short term approach with a big investment at the start will not be successful. That is my personal view.
I'll just add here, if we take 15 years or 20 years as a benchmark of getting a vehicle out of age, so we would have almost 20 million vehicles who would be actually unfit for the roads, right? So if you see a longer term perspective, there would be a time then when 50% of these vehicles would be coming to RVS, maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line. So on the similar principle, we have seen that in UK, United Kingdom, there are more than 1,000 RVSF. And if we see the land size of UK is just 20% of what we have in India. So definitely circularity is a big opportunity, and this is the right time to enter, what I can say.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, now they're saying 1,000. Yeah.
So as of now, there are 140 RVSFs which are established, over 100
Actually,
are operational.
74 are operational. Sorry? Only 74 are operational.
Yeah, so I think as of now maybe.
So it takes time to actually get all the licenses in place and to get operationalized. So license has been issued around 140 licenses, 74 are operational for now.
So compliance process itself is time taking. It's so it takes a while.
Implementing the policies. So being a state subject matter as well, so states like Tamil Nadu, we are not yet even, the discussion paper has not been yet been revealed.
So Tamil Nadu doesn't have any RVSF.
Yeah, Tamil Nadu, they haven't even announced the policy for now. So that is the only state which actually has been, Tamil Nadu, J&K, and then 4-5 northeastern states who haven't announced the policy. So I heard that there was a meeting last week with all the state governments, and most of the state governments have agreed to come out with the policy in next 2 months' time.
So that's all. So I think. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was good discussion about the policy, and after that we are going to give some memento to our guests. Yes, yes.